New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
And Reverend Michele Wadleigh here.
And this is New Thought Today for today, May, I'm looking right at the date, May 13th, 2025. Revzy is traveling and unable to be with us, so I knocked on the door of my very, very dear friend, Reverend Michele Wadleigh, and I do apologize. I don't know why I thought you were a Michelle with one L.
No, but Michelle Whittington and I have fun because we're both MWs, so Michelle, oh no, which Michelle? Oh, Michelle W. No, which Michelle W?
That one I know. That one I've gotten caught in myself.
She's a one and I'm a double L, and I'm happy to be Revzy for the moment.
Well, I'm happy that you're Rev Michele Wadleigh, or also known as Rev Jersey Girl, and so grateful that you are here. You've had a program on the network in the past, and you've been a regular on this program over the years now, so it's really always just a delight and enlightening to get a chance to sit and chat and talk and connect with you. So
yeah, thank you.
Really grateful you're here. How about we take a few moments and give you a chance to share with the people at home a little bit more about your ministry and what you're up to?
Oh, okay. Well, at the moment, if you've never seen me or heard of me, I was a pulpit minister for 23 years, left the pulpit last January, and I'm good with that. And I say that because I think for a while, I think other people might not have thought so, and I even questioned it myself, but the truth is I'm good with that because now my ministry has kind of taken on a bigger form, and that is the nonprofit that I keep growing and building, which is the Planned Happiness Institute. And God bless a publisher who asked me to publish a shadow book. That's been out for a while. My forgiveness book, which is my heart, is being republished, represented to the world in November. It comes out, and then they asked me to do a third book, and which will be on authenticity. And as long as nothing changes, it's going to be called Dance Like Nobody's Watching, which I'm so excited about, and already developing a course to go with it. So I'm a busy little beaver. I'm also extremely involved in the lives of my sons and my grandchildren, and I'm expecting a new grandchild. And to those of you who might think that's boring, that's because you're not old enough to have grandchildren yet. But once you are, you realize, because children and grandchildren are another type of ministry, right? Because the better job we do, the better our legacy is. And our legacy doesn't live in a vacuum. It impacts the world. So being a parent, being a teacher, being a grandparent is a way of having a legacy. I keep that very close to my heart. I'm very careful, very mindful about my influence with my family and those who are under my care, and of course with my students. And in a lot of ways, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm happy to say that my shadow book is being well received, and it's lovely. It's lovely. The name of the book is Shadow Work by Michele Wadleigh, if you decide you want to look for it. And and it looks like I accomplished my goal, which was to have people be willing to look at shadow work without being afraid.
Yeah.
Because sometimes shadow work and it's like ripping off a scab, and it could feel so hurtful. But I've managed to keep the message in: be gentle, be kind to yourself, because as you and I go, as we go as individuals, so goes our influence for the planet. So it always matters to me that I keep growing, and that I encourage everyone I know to grow and to be their big, bold, beautiful selves. Because what the world needs more right now is people who love themselves. Because when you love yourself, you don't want to do harm to anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
No.
That's one of the things I think I've always I don't think I know that I've always really admired of you is that your ability to balance and not just ability, but your commitment to balancing your family and putting the value of family front and center, and balancing family and ministry. And it's not an easy task by any means.
No, it's not. I mean, I started my community. I founded the community, the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey. Do a shout out to them. I did it when my youngest son, I think he was 4 or 5, and I was joke around saying, no one turned to me and said, "You sure you want to do that with a kid?" as a single mom too. But he had, if you allow it, and if you're willing to grow, your children will make you a better person. And being his mom, I wanted to be that better person. So for me, it was a gift. It was a gift all around. And what else do we have? What's more important than us with family?
Right.
As I mean, no, it might be a rough thing to say in this day and age with all that's going on in this country. So take what I said with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. And I agree. I think that, okay, sometimes family is going to create some strain, and I'm sure that's part of it. And I spoke about this on Sunday, and I know others have been as well, that, we celebrate some of these special holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day and others, and they can be rough days for some. It's
Yes.
kind of dig back into your shadow work, sorry, no pun intended, into the work, but it can be a really tough day for some to have everybody just, hey, mothers are great and isn't it fabulous, and for everybody that's not really the experience, and it's not the truth for them at that moment, and maybe there's something more for them there, and maybe that's something that we just need to be a little more okay with. That so I'm trying to find some other ways to celebrate that oneness, beyond all the just traditionals.
But yeah, so here's the thing, and this is where all my forgiveness work comes in, and the forgiveness book too. So on Sunday, I didn't make Mother's Day. I happen to be speaking this last Sunday, so I do have a speaking schedule that I'm out and about fairly often. And I didn't want the whole Sunday just to be about Mother's Day. So for me, it was about loving fiercely. But I did segment out a piece. And what I spoke about for that few minutes was that, because I acknowledge that we don't all have that, the mother version of the father knows best, even that they called it the father knows best. But you remember how meek the woman character was in that show. If nothing else, let us be the conscious, aware individuals that heal the mother wound. And I'm going to call out, shout out to a friend and colleague, Reverend Evelyn Bourne, who on her Substack is doing a beautiful series on healing the mother wound. Because we might not all have had a good mother. We might not all be a mother. We may be mothered to adopted kids, but we all had a mother. And so where that mother lives in us It's our responsibility to heal where she lives in us. So while we might acknowledge that not everybody had a skilled mother, let me just say it that way, or you might not have had a skilled mom, it's still upon you and I to heal where she lives in us.
Yeah.
And how we hold it, how we subscribe to that idea, and then how we oh, you changed my name. Thank you. And then how we communicate that to the generations coming after us, because mistakes are going to be made, but how do we carry it? It's always, for me, it all comes down to responsibility, Robert. It has always come down to responsibility. And I think that's a really important thing for us to realize. If you say something that upsets me, you're not responsible for my reaction. I have a lot of choice there. I could be offended. I could not be offended. I could choose to talk to you. I could choose to cut you out. I mean, I have a lot of choices there.
Right.
So responsibility and choice matters. And we are talking to a New Thought community. This is New Thought Media Network.
Right.
So you can't do what everybody else is doing and expect to have a different experience. We need to be the leaders, and being healthy, emotional leaders to me is really important. And obviously you got me on a tangent.
It's a good one though. So I remember my very first teacher, he would share it in a way where he said, don't make me push this. Don't make me push my own buttons. I installed it, and it was a joking way of saying it, right? It wasn't an actual accusation that
Right,
it was his way of reminding all of us, no, you really don't have the power to push my buttons. Only I have that power, and only I'm the one, and I'm the only one pushing my buttons, because you have no idea what buttons I've installed.
That's right. I wish my new statement always is, I wish, want, hope, and dream that more of us could get that, because it might sound hard. It might even sound hard as you're saying it to some people.
Right.
But the reward for that, the result and the reward, is an emotional freedom, and a spaciousness within inside of ourselves, where life can happen in a greater, grander way. I mean, it can be stunningly beautiful if we do it right. Stunningly beautiful, and doing it right means healing it. It means healing it.
Yeah. And again, there's that opportunity, because as soon as I realize a button has been pushed and I am the one that has done it, I have to be able to look at you and recognize you as the God face in front of me, the angel in front of me, that piece of the divine that says, hey, I'm just playing my role. Yeah, I'm doing my thing, helping you to remember, being an inspiration for you to heal that, to go and look at, why is it I get so upset when you don't use your blinkers in traffic? Oh, that might be my thing.
And what I'd like to do is take what you just said, for the sake of our audience,
absolutely,
and turn that into a spiritual practice. Driving in traffic can be a perfect spiritual practice. I'm not trying to sound. Every time you're able to, you find cause to react,
mm-hmm.
you're literally losing control. And it's like a garden hose. I love this, and I'm about to get a new garden hose. Beautiful new garden hose with no holes and no rips in it. Oh, it's a lovely thing. But over time, sometimes, over time, they get little holes. And if you were to just take a little pin and prick that hose in just a few places, it would begin to leak out some of the water. And so what happens is, when we think it's okay to flip somebody off, or to call someone out, or to be angry because of the way they're driving, and people will always be stupid on the road. So to give power away to that, is a little self-sabotaging. But every time we do that, we're losing some of the power, like the water isn't going to the hose where you're pointing it because it's leaking out. We have power. We have power to create. It was installed in us. It's alive and it's vital. But you and I have to learn how to focus it and align with it and then allow the world to benefit from it. The power is not power over people. It's not dominion over, but it's the power to create and to co-create and the power to love, even to be actively compassionate. And when I think of all the things that are going on right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, where is our human compassion? I find it very sad, very sad.
Yes, it's and it's unfortunately often easy to turn away from the conditions of the world and what's really going on, and how to deal with that, and how to bring this spiritual perspective to what's happening in our lives. And that's why, and I said earlier, I wanted to share a little bit, because we've been talking about this, and it's really, in a lot of ways, the conversation that is so much fun is happening over on Substack.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you have a Substack, and I've got a Substack, and it seems like a lot of people have a Substack.
I love my Substack. I love Substack.
It's a great place to have some of these conversations. And here's your most recent article, Break the Chain of Pain.
Yeah, that was just out yesterday. Yes.
And a really good, I've loved what you've been curating here. So tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Well, I gotta be honest, it's been interesting because it's a new platform for me. So it's still relatively small, but it's a fabulous it's a fabulous platform and program. And because I'm attracting people that want specifically my message. Right. So it's not like me just sending this out to anybody. I mean, anybody can read it. Some of it's for paid subscribers only. But it's my place. And I allow myself sometimes, I allow my upset to rear its head on occasion. I do. Because I think it's important that I allow my humanity also to have a voice. I mean, you're talking about being upset with somebody driving, right? Well, mine might not be quite that, but when I see the news and I see what I feel is gross human injustice happening, I cannot sit by and not say anything about it. However, and this is the important piece, ultimately, and we had a great conversation in my class last night that I taught. Ultimately, you and I are constantly creating. And so when I draw your attention to my Substack, and I don't really know who all my audience is. I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. But I'm going to leave a message with them, and I want to be responsible to that message. So and this is quantum work also, right?
Right.
If I'm calling out anger, if I'm fired up and I'm fueled and I'm, I'm in the angry at the world rhetoric, I'm going to feed that and I'm going to draw that out. So while I think it's important for me to have an energetic release of that information, as for anyone else, mostly what I'm seeking to leave behind is a sense that you and I have the power to help transform the undercurrent, that through the spiritual practices, what we understand, what we know through prayer, through meditation, through shadow work, through forgiveness work, I know someone's listening or someone's going to listen and just dismiss this. And I don't care. because what I know is the power of the word, and a potent, focused word, it can melt away division. It can melt hearts.
Right.
It has the power and the potency to change the current focus of what's going on. In my Substack, I acknowledge it's not going to suddenly turn greedy people into not greedy people.
Right.
It's not. Okay. But eventually, if we are able to soften the hold of that ground, we allow a new message to come in. It might sound highfalutin, or it might sound too much like a Pollyanna idea, but I feel like something has mildly begun to shift. And I'll take it. I'll take even that little bit. So Substack becomes my teaching platform, you know?
Yep.
And I try to be careful with my message and mindful about it. But I really enjoy the platform. I enjoy writing and I enjoy teaching, because I don't have a pulpit anymore. One of the ways, in addition to my classes.
Yeah.
So for those of you who might be listening, feel free to sign on to the Substack. And they do have, I love it because they have free and fee-based content. And some of us who are not in pulpits, like Robert, enjoy the stream of income that it provides. So for the little bit of money it is, sign up for his Substack. What is the name of yours, Robert? I can't
Ours is / New Thought Media Network, and I think I actually have it, or it's there it is. So you do New Thought Media Network.substack.com is ours, and thank you for that. I've really been enjoying the platform because I'm reaching a different audience, and it's not the grab up as many friends as you possibly can type of place, and it is a lot. I'm being much more selective with who I follow and who I'm reading and who I'm letting into. And it doesn't mean that I'm not listening to other writers and conversations and perspectives other than mine, because it's not that siloed yet, it seems. It's really exposing me to different writers and therefore me to them.
Yeah, and I think it's I see someone said a soul tribe. Yes. And I think that's really, it's important to keep our mind open, and it's important to have the conversation. Ultimately, I think it would be really good for all of us who care to, if you're not comfortable with it yet, to learn how to be comfortable, to have conversations with people that you don't agree with. Because if those of us who think we're so hot stuff, hot shit in this movement, we're not, unless we could prove it out. And proving it out means I can sit before someone who doesn't agree with me and have a human, kind conversation, even with disagreement.
Yes.
It's very important that we learn how to do that.
That I think that is a skill that, yes, is very important we learn how to do, and my experience has been is not a one size fits all type of thing. It's not just hey, when you say this, it makes me feel this, and those patterns and those types of practices work, and they're valuable in moving us into conversations. And at a certain point, there are those that are going to become really crucial conversations where the cookie cutter idea doesn't always work, and we need real conversation.
I refer to it, and the reason why I had this reference is I call it being bilingual, although it's not truly bilingual. And what I'm referring to is, once we learn to take responsibility for our lives and we understand how we are very much in the whole fabric of life, right? So if I'm talking responsibility, but I'm talking to someone who's not in the movement, while I'm using language that reflects responsibility, often what happens is the language of blame comes back at you. So You do not want to set yourself up as a doormat. You do not want to be at the mercy of those kind of conversations. You want to learn how to turn your language just enough that you present an idea, but you're not beating yourself up. I'm sorry, I'm listening. I was just reading the chat.
Yes.
But please don't translate this as you're always supposed to be kind, which sounds kind of odd coming from a metaphysical spiritual teacher.
Right.
But sometimes kind just gets you in trouble, and it makes you inauthentic. And I'm very sensitive to this right now because that's the newest book I'm coming out with. Dance Like Nobody's Watching is a book about getting back to your authenticity.
Yeah.
And the things you want to be on the lookout for, where our authenticity hides, and our authenticity hides behind our addiction to be nice and our addiction to be liked, or our addiction to being socially accepted. Well, I don't really want to be accepted by everybody.
I don't need to be accepted by everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are hitting on all cylinders, and folks, we are woefully overdue to let one of our sponsors say hello and to give our guest here a break. So if you've wondered what you stumbled into, this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Lovely.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in Jalisco, Mexico. Featuring Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, Dr. Jose de Lira Sosa, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, and Reverend Dr. David Bruner. Registration is now open, and payment plans are available. Simply visit www.conventionoftheamericas.com. Come be part of a transformative gathering with powerful presentations, workshops, networking time, and just good old relaxing and connecting. Plus, you can learn more about the science of mind and how to live this powerful philosophy in your life. Transform your life at Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together.
And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Dr. Robert Brzezinski. Thank you for being with us. My special guest today, Reverend Dr. Michele Wadleigh, and we want to do some shout outs here. Mara is with us. Thank you, Mara. Good to see you, dear one. Grateful that you are with us. And Kathy Wilson, also grateful that you are here. And Kathy was asking for the web link again. So yes, I'm going to put that in the banner here for you. Which one? Where is Michelle's? There's Michelle's.
And is that for the Substack? Yeah.
The Substack, I believe, is what you want. And folks, if you're just tuning in, we're having a great conversation here. And I love how this is, we're here to talk about your ministry and how it's evolving, because your work in forgiveness and shadow work have both been really, really good. And I personally have been just like devouring that work over time now. And now you're going to move into authenticity, and it feels like the natural, I say this a lot about some things, it's like the natural flow of things, that when you do the shadow and the forgiveness work, when you do the inner work, it's so much easier to live a truly authentic life.
Yeah. Robert, I'm fortunate right now. I have a number of, I've been teaching a lot again, which is my favorite thing to do. And sometimes it just breaks my heart that so many people get to their years of being an elder and their shadow and their trauma is still nipping at them at the butt. And and not because they're not intelligent, but simply because someone didn't give them the tools. They didn't give them the tools so that they could become free. And I feel a little heartbroken sometimes, because I'm an old-fashioned kind of girl. I want us all to be happy and not in pain.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to make a comment on something that Mara said, if you don't mind. She said some behaviors are just deal breakers. Absolutely. Absolutely. We should healthy boundaries are good. Good. Just like they say fences make for good neighbors, right? So do boundaries. And they're in the textbook and one of the books and this thing called You, I don't remember where it is. Bert Ernest Holmes talks about us being guided, guarded, and protected. Guided, guarded, and protected, which sounds a little like we're trying to hold things at bay. But when we are syncing up to spirit, when we are in alignment and we surrender, you know, we have a natural safety net around us. I know that I walk the planet feeling, well, now I live in a small bedroom community of 17,000 people. But even when I go places, I always feel like God's got my back. And I feel that way because I've managed to shake off the layers of resistance and the layers of anything that stands between me and my good or me and my God, however you want to say it. And when we're in this movement, we can choose to be in someone's company or not. You know, I have family members who definitely voted a different way than I voted. Well, I'm not going to turn my back on a family member. I'll try to have a conversation. I will try to understand, but I'm not going to turn my back. And that's my dedication.
Yeah.
You know, that's my dedication. Although I've heard of many other realities. Yeah, I've heard of many other ways that people have handled it. And I've heard of people disowning people. Not on my watch, not in my family.
Exactly. And there's, I like to believe that there may be, and you're right, there are like these countless various experiences from everything from outright arguments to ignoring to family, and we're all going to go through this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
This is another experience, I believe, a more global calling or experience to help us each define exactly what family does mean and doesn't mean for each of us.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I've always appreciated your ability to keep that value centered in grounded in the conversations that are happening.
Thank you. And I've seen the miraculous happen in my classes. I've seen people that were estranged, suddenly they're no longer estranged because of forgiveness or because they did their shadow work. I've seen it over and over again. We are not stuck. We are not at the mercy of things. We're not, none of us. And it's time for us to really, really get that. But Robert, I want to call out to you in your dream. Can we talk about your dream?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to act like the interviewer right now. Robert, what dream are you dreaming alive right now?
Thank you for that. So that's been the fun. And I really want to give that up to all of my colleagues, right? All of the people that I've met over the last 20 some odd years of being in this philosophy, all the various visionaries and the dreamers and the Eeyores that I've run into over the years as well, it's all led to a revealing, an unraveling, if you will. Sometimes it feels that way, but I remember in a ministerial class, Reverend Mary Jo Honioda said, I have found this to be a completely revelatory journey. And that really stuck with me over time, is that it isn't so much my journey, it is allowing for the revelation and then serving that.
Yep.
So along the way, New Thought Media Network became And I think I always knew this. It was the revelation of a time. But it was the revelation at this point, it's the revelation of 5 years ago. And if there's anything I've learned in the last 20 years, it's that the revealing never ends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's much like that, a cascading waterfall, that it's not the same at all times. There's splashes and there's waves and there's boulders sometimes that come over the waterfall. It's not always safe to stand underneath the waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
It's that continuous motion of the flow of life, of what's happening. So what's been emerging for quite a long time is an intentional community. And this in some ways started when I first read Michael Singer's work. And I read his first book, The Untethered Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, he sort of speaks about intentional community and the community that built up around his work, but it wasn't really in depth.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then he came out, and I forget when it was, with the Surrender Experiment. And I read the first book, loved it, said, wow, I want to read this. So I went, picked it up, and it was one of those transformative works that by the end of the night, I had read most of the book and I was in tears, because here was a blueprint.
Yeah.
Okay, at a very different time in the human continuum, but here was like somebody that did it.
Mm-hmm.
And much like when I first found the science of mind, here was somebody that was speaking my language and was sharing a deep philosophy that I had always felt I knew. And now here's someone else that really gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means there's others that get it. And the same thing happened when I read the Surrender Experiment. So this is now 20 years down the road, or well, not that many, but we're probably 15 or 10 at least down the road from reading that book.
Mm-hmm.
And the call to voice the vision has become so strong and so powerful that it cannot be denied.
Mm-hmm.
And so a couple of months back, I went out and just threw together a website. And one of my kind of weird hobbies is to scroll real estate websites in the middle of the night.
Okay. Hey, it's not porn.
It's not porn. You're right. Exactly. And so I can like jump onto Crexy or LoopNet.
I love that you're weepy.
Yes,
it's a good dream.
Exactly. And so I'll jump onto these sites and I'll look around at properties and businesses that are for sale and available and all that. And along the way, I just can find, I've been able to like envision how various properties could work as an intentional community where people of the New Thought faith could come together and work both on the property and off the property to build not just a community, but to run what's going to be necessary to operate the New Thought Media Network. Because that idea, and I've been saying this for 5 years, it's kind of like CNN meets Netflix. Now, I started saying that 5 years ago, so the political affiliations of those organizations may no longer be palatable to some, but right. I'm not about that. I'm about how we share information.
So, Robert, just in case someone doesn't know, just give a moment of what an intentional community is, in case someone's quickly tuning in.
Absolutely.
So that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. In my perspective here, an intentional community is a place where people can cohabitate with of like minds can cohabitate on a property, not necessarily all in the same house. And we're not talking about the kind of culty give it all up and give all your money kind of hippie communes from the early days where nobody had anything and so everything was totally communal. This is more of a modern day intentional community where people would own their own property and have control over what is theirs and what they bring to the party. But we're working towards a shared vision and a shared outcome.
Yeah.
And there are many intentional communities today that sell organic produce or create candles and sell those online, or hammocks and sell those regionally, and build upon a small community where the living quarters might be a little tighter, where people might be all from 2 or 3 families. This vision is a little bit larger in that we envision producers and editors and creators and retreat space for artists and artisans, and where someone can come to get away from their, if it's a minister and needs a sabbatical, can come and be nurtured in an environment that is not only based on but intentionally living new thought. From the music we listen to the way the food is prepared, to how we share in our spiritual practices. And that community just happens to have started online out of necessity, where most communities tend to start in physical formation and then go online. We're just doing it the other direction, I think.
I think it's beautiful. I have secretly wanted something not so sophisticated. You have a sophisticated vision of it. I have wanted to live in I used to call it communal way, but communal living, but I love intentional living. I really like that term more because it really speaks to what's required in order to make it work. Because you're right, it's not about surrendering your autonomy. It's about what's the distinction that Stephen Covey uses? It's not interdependence, where you do something, I do something, we blend together, we share, we lean on each other. And if my family would ever actually move, I'd move in a second to do that. I talk about it with my son all the time. He really has a dream about finding a communal way of living, or a community. And there is a big subculture happening. There's a large subculture happening where families are buying larger pieces of property, keeping their independent homes, but then sharing in crops and responsibilities. And a lot of it is about going back to the earth, but it's more about getting off the grid and getting out of the grind for many people. So because this is New Thought, what is the name of the show? New Thought Tomorrow?
New Thought Today.
Today. And it's about where is New Thought going and what's coming. And
right.
I think it's good to speak your dream into the space, because that's how things. Mara says she lives in a senior co-op in San Jose. Fantastic. Yep. Fantastic.
And so Mara, I'll bring that in. This is my vision of how we do intentional community. There's another woman here in Colorado who has a very different vision of providing spaces for tiny homes and acting as more of a stepping stone for those that have been, for whatever reason, fallen out of the mainstream. The ability to purchase homes and step into their own home. Mara, there's also people I know of that are seeing this whole concept through that lens of retirement homes. And bringing more of what is New Thought, not just trying to build just not trying to infiltrate a retirement home, but to actually purchase, develop, and run the business of a retirement home from the basis of New Thought, from the very ground up. So it isn't about the money, and it isn't about the expediency. It is about that shared spiritual experience that'll allow for, I believe, hubs to start to develop a little more.
Oh, see, look, you got other people interested here. There's a fabulous dream. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I live in a sweet little town. It's probably I haven't lived in many places, but I love where I live more than any place I've ever lived. And yet I could see, I think I would die and go to heaven if New Thought people lived to my left and to my right. And and we were, I mean, when I was a young girl, I was one of 7. And at that point, all of the family, all the siblings lived within a relatively close area of each other.
Mhm.
We were always at each other's homes and running to each other and celebrating birthdays and holidays together because we were close. It's old fashioned. I know. But you gotta admit, some of this whole thing where new families are now getting up and running across the country, and then the grandparents aren't really involved, or your children, you have to reach out to someone you don't even know to take care of your child. So I think that there's advantages for all of it. There's
Exactly.
advantages for all of it. You mentioned, I think before the show, we chatted about, you said something about Arizona, or I forget where you said. Have you ever looked at the Earth ships?
I have actually, yes.
Fascinating.
I love that conversation. So many, many years ago, and this is all YouTube. I've never actually been in an Earth ship.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
But it's I found down in Arizona or New Mexico, or Arizona, Slab City, and that led down the rabbit hole of what are Earth ships. So if anybody's like, what? It's an ecological way of building a home at just the right angle, with windows at just the right angle, so you can be completely self-sustaining, water in all.
There was a main architect of this that started this, Michael somebody.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I forget that aspect. And the whole back wall, it's all biomass. So the whole place is heated and cooled because there is no back wall. The whole back wall is just tires pounded with dirt, and it's a wild process
from recycled materials.
But they make great houses, and they're really unique and creative, and they're not quite as scalable as other things, but they're that's part of the rabbit hole. That's part of the natural progression that says, look, here's one way to do it. What are some other ways that it can be done?
But it is about getting off the grid too.
Yes.
And getting off the grid and living off the land. And so these homes all have Michael Reynolds. I just looked it up. His name is Michael Reynolds. And he started it in 1970s. And he went through a lot of hell to make that happen because the laws at the time they were giving him a hard time. I'm not sure why, but they gave him a hard time. But so every one of these homes has a greenhouse section to it. So they are growing their own herbs and vegetables kind of inside the house. You walk into the greenhouse and then you walk into the house.
Yeah.
And it's just an idea. It's just a fascinating idea to expand your thinking and open up to something new.
Yep. And all the water in an Earth ship, all the water is reused, up to 6 times. The gray water from showers and other things are reused again and again. Even the water capture system is built in.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, Colorado is one of the places left in the United States where you actually can build an Earth ship. A lot of places won't give you the permits now. A lot of places.
Oh, is that true? Wow.
And my understanding is Colorado is one of those places where you can still build an Earth ship. And you know what? If I've got this website going across the bottom there, folks. If you go there, you'll see a selection of places that I really like. It's because I like them. As I said, we can envision a similar concept if you were to invest in let's say a marginalized section of your city, and there's a couple of fourplexes that are up for sale, but together on a block, or an older style, anything can be renovated. anything can be fixed up and repurposed. So this kind of vision can happen in the midst of a city. It can happen in a rural area, and it can happen out in the middle of nowhere in the sticks in the mountains or the desert if you want it.
I love this conversation. I have warm, fuzzy feeling, just the hope for humanity, that about how we could lean on and into each other. Because even for the unhoused, I mean, and there are places that are doing it and towns that are doing it and putting up, what they call the little houses, putting up little houses in areas.
Yep.
And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant thing. And if we can afford, I mean, God knows, some of the things that we want to afford in this country, we can easily afford. I won't say easily. I won't minimize it like that. It would be an investment. But there are a lot of people who could afford to invest in something like this so we can get all humans off the street.
Yep.
Especially veterans. I just want to say
the number of innovative ways to help. This has been a rally cry of mine for a number of years now, is there's more than enough housing in this country to make sure that no one is out in the cold, does not have a roof over their head. There's no, whether you want one or not, there's those that don't want it, even those that would rather sleep under the stars for the rest of their days, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Even those folks, there's enough housing in this country for those people too. So there's enough for everybody. We just got to figure out, it's just a logistics concern of how we figure out how to get those people to
and a reprioritizing of our financial finances, a reprioritizing.
Yep.
One less stealth bomber.
Yes. And one more donation. And one more donation to NPR, or perhaps New Thought Media Network. So as a good minister you have led us directly to the most, well, I'm not going to say the most important part of the day, but we're going to lead you directly to that point where we get to say thank you for the people that are making this vision possible with their financial contributions. So please don't go away. Don't run away. Stick with us for another minute. Help us celebrate the people that are making this all possible. And we'll come back with our final thoughts right after this. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. Yes. Thank you to all of our organizational sponsors and
those
donors.
Sponsors have grown.
Yes. And you know what I always love about having you on the show, Reverend Michele, is you're represented in there like 4 times maybe at this point. And I love that. And I love how the universe works, because earlier today I get a daily email from the Postal Service. Mm-hmm. It gives me pictures of the mail that's coming in that day. Oh. Anybody can get it. It's a really cool service. And so I know what's coming in my mail by like 7:15 in the morning. And this morning I opened up that email, and the monthly donation from Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey is there, and it's going to show up in my mailbox in a few hours. So
Nice.
I know you're not there full time and as the spiritual director any longer, but you're
They're
doing
dedicated.
Neil is, and
Yeah.
so please pass my gratitude on to Neil for his contribution for that community and their contribution.
Yeah.
It takes a whole bunch of us.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I know you said last thoughts, and I wanted to say what has happened during the course of the show is that the sense of hope that this conversation has sparked in me. I actually think that's our job, because people can get and again, I'm not putting my head in the sand. I read the news. I know what's going on. I am not saying be ignorant, and I'm not condoning spiritual bypass. I'm saying both end. I'm saying let us keep an eye and make sure that we're having our government be responsible, and let those of us who can keep the light on. Like, let those of us who have that ability to be that sense of hope in the way shower, because everybody's stressed out, and it's because of all of what's going on. So just as my last thought, it's like, let us keep doing that good work, the good work.
Yeah. Thank you. It is good work. And as you were sharing, I'm in that space where, and I've been saying it a little bit lately, but not quite this way, in that we know that our word has the power to create.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we can create towards a positive vision or towards a woeful suffering vision, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that for me, it's always, and I want to remind myself, always be casting the vision of what I wish.
Yeah.
Oh, there's times, yes, to look at what's wrong and to identify. And again, just as you say, it's not spiritual bypassing. For us here on New Thought Media Network, that's what we do on Friday mornings on Ministers Talking Shit.
Right.
We drag through the muck and the mire, all the stuff that we don't want to process or haven't been able to process, and work through it in a what we hope is a healthy way. Here on this show, we get to be casting the vision.
Yeah.
And that's my invitation to all of us, is casting that vision. Always be casting the vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for always having me. I really do I believe in this work, and if it's not where you want to be yet, I know it will be. Because we need those metaphoric angels out there, and you and your community are one of them.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I feel very much the same and can echo all of that. So I love the fact that you keep saying yes and keep coming back, and I love watching your ministry continue to grow and to flourish, and to make an impact in the world.
Thank you.
Together, we're all doing good work, folks. So.
Yes.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks again for being with us. We'll be back again next week. But until then, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
Massive love to all.